Right, so mostly thanks to life, I've been in something of a lull as of late. Haven't done very much on my own. I kind of want to see if I can still do it. So let's do that with... If it ever... Okay, there we go. With some Lemmings. So for those of you who saw my Creepers run through with Chibi, this is something of a predecessor to that in a way. Forgive the horribly bright and discolored background here. So the deal is this. These little Lemmings drop out from the sky, and my job is to get them to the little arch you see in the bottom right. We do that with an assortment of tools, which I will explain as we go. The first tool I'm using is diggers, which, as you can see, they dig quite literally vertically down until there's nothing left to dig out. Sure, I could have done this the economic way and just did one. But hey. So basically they give you your requirement in percentage. So it's kind of up to you to do the math to decide how many Lemmings you have to get out. Fortunately, this one's easy. We had 10 Lemmings come out of the sky. 10% of 10 is 1 Lemming. So all we had to do is save one of the little bastards, and we're off to the races. Just a sec, guys. Sorry, just a quick little thing I'm doing here. Okay. So that's how we continue. Get enough Lemmings out to move on. So if you can read through this, sometimes the title will give you a hint. The first one was just dig, and lo and behold, all they gave us was diggers. Only floaters can survive this. Floaters are another tool, which I will demonstrate on the level. 10 Lemmings, 10% to be saved, so once again we just have to save one. And we have 5 minutes to do both the last level and this one as well. So as opposed to a tool that you use immediately, floater is more like a state of being. Once they fall far enough, they'll parachute down and it'll be safe no matter how far they go. I'm going to leave the last one without because I want to demonstrate if they fall too far. Yeah, it's not good. So basically get above the percentage and the time limit, or get them all accounted for, one or the other. And next up, tailor-made for blockers. 50 Lemmings to come out, 10% is 5. 5 minutes to do it. So blocker is another state of being. They'll literally just stand there instead of pass each other. Or rather, instead of lemmings passing this one like they normally would each other, this time they'll turn them around. You saw a release rate being referenced on each level screen, or each level title. You can adjust that from the minimum. You saw how fast 50 goes, and now you're seeing the maximum 99. You do that when you've got your path to the end completed. They'll speed their way up out of here. Now, the blockers cannot move again unless the ground underneath them gets knocked out in some way, shape, or form. The other alternative is to blow them all up with this little nuke here. So in a way, it's kind of related to creepers. Only in creepers, the only time limit is when they start coming out. And rather than a tool limit, you have an energy limit over there. But yeah, this time if you run out of a tool, you just can't use it anymore. If you run out of energy on creepers, that's it. You're dead for the level. Now use miners and climbers. This time we got to save them all, 100%. And the release rate begins at 1. So you've seen the fastest, now you will see the slowest. So the miner digs diagonally at about a 30-degree angle, or somewhere around. It's in your best interest for time to wait until they're facing right and approaching the arch. Now to the point of music, some of you may recognize a couple of the tunes that have already been played. The first level was, I think it was supposed to be Pachelbel's Canon, except in a very different key than most of you may be familiar with. The common one is D. It's been done in C, but that was in G flat major for those of you who are that much into music. That last song was She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain. Bashers, eh? Bashers go dig horizontally, basically. Now, like diggers and miners, they'll keep going until they run out of wall in front of them. But for this one, you'll waste a basher unless you've got something like dead in front of the lemming you're using it on. Now these are tricky, these little netted platforms. You have to do this on solid ground or they'll stop bashing as soon as they slip and fall. Now would be a good time to raise the rate. They give you 50 bashers, which is incredibly excessive to me. But it might be out of consideration for the fact that this is a very beginner level, and they might think that somebody tries to bash through wire by wire. No, if you bash through from the ground, they'll never slip and they won't run out until they're through. Yeah, interesting that gravity doesn't really play a part in this world. Something could be free-floating just like this thing is, and it'll never drop. It's just fixated in the air. Now next up, is the bomber tool, which rather than the nuke tool, which blows up all the lemmings on screen, this bomber tool focuses on a single lemming, which in conjunction with bombers, as you can see, can prove extremely useful. Obviously, 2 of them had to die in order for that to work out. And the final tool we haven't seen is the builder. This one is... oh, I guess bashers, miners, and diggers could also be considered something of a state of being. These guys, when invoked, are given 12 steps, and they build up at about the same 30-degree angle as a miner would mine down. Now notice how the lemmings are going up the natural steps. The timing is incredible. You catch that? They're stepping up right on the snare beat. Or they were for a while. Pretty close to it. Pardon me. No, it looks like they're marching to a slightly faster tempo. I was so mesmerized by those steps that I completely forgot to raise the rate. That's alright though. 5 minutes is more than enough time. Yeah, had we let anybody go down that pit, that would have been more expenditure trying to get them out. Since we have the builders to afford, honestly, it's better that we just build over it. However many it takes. Well, it certainly does look complicated. Looking at the preview up top, it looks like we got to get to the right wall and turn around with a pit somewhere in the middle. And we got to save 95% of them. We have 80 of them, and we've got a comparatively fast release rate. So before I show you the real solution, and you can feel free to look at the tools and determine what that is for yourself, there's something I want to show you. First, we'll jack the rate to 99. That was easily one of my favorite visual effects as a kid. I mean, we kind of did. But in any event, if you miss the percentage, just try the level again. And the reason it's not as complicated as it looks is because you can just do that. Oh, damn it, it reset the music. That sucks. Oh well, it's alright. We'll circle back to it. Yeah, just use a blocker. As long as you try your best. 90% of them, 80 lemmings, release rate is capped right from the get-go. The good news is you can use keyboard shortcuts. And I am very glad that the music continued on, even though the track reset to 1 on the retry. Oh, right. Sorry, little guy. You're necessary collateral here. Smile if you love lemmings. You know, it might help if I didn't completely lose my train of thought. Okay. There's another way to do this. Well, in one way I screwed the pooch because you notice that I dug just under the drop, which takes away any ability these little guys would have had to save themselves from a long fall. But I managed to do it this way, regardless, which allows me to dig them all down slowly, with a blocker waiting to turn the naysayers or the nay-facers around. See, that reads "Keep Your Hair On, Mr. Lemming," but one of the songs, I forget which, in this game is entitled "Keep Your Hair On, comma, Mr. Lemming." Some kind of irony there, but regardless, here we go. Now here we're introduced to another element. An arrowed wall. Basically what that means is you can't do any kind of digging in the direction opposing it. So instead, we'll make 2 guys climbers and then make them floaters Make one of them a blocker, and the other one can bash on through. Now you notice that they're called athletes instead of climbers or floaters. That literally just means that they're both. Well, this poor sap's going to take forever to get out, and we only need to get 50 of them, so I'm just going to put him out of his misery. Or was it my misery? I don't know. I wasn't really keeping track. Patience. First and foremost, you have to get a blocker there. Because you know there's going to be a serious backflow. And what's incredibly annoying about this ledge right here is it's just barely too short. So we're going to have to use another builder to complete the ramp. And they're going to go out at an alarming rate because they were so clumped. We all fall down. So this one's kind of the same premise as Just Dig. In that we have to dig, because if we just jump off the edge of the diving board, that's going to be too long a fall. So the board is situated just enough so that digging clean to the bottom gets you enough to get there. I'm going to speed the rate up a bit because this is going to get a little boring otherwise. So yeah, this is the basic premise of this one. If you miss a little piece, it's okay. You're not going to need the entire set of leverage just for 20 of them. But you'll see a little bit later that there's a reason I strategized on it early. Well, yeah, we needed every lemming. And you'll notice that some of the music is getting into the classical stuff. Like that was, what was it? I want to say Dance of the Reed Flutes that we just heard from the Nutcracker Suite. Song 11 wasn't classical, but still familiar. How much was that little doggy in the window, or whatever you call it? And hits keep on coming here. I think this is Turca alla Ronda. Basically, this level's a long series of mines. Oops. Lost one there. This level's basically a long series of builds and bashes. I could have bashed him. The drop wouldn't have been that high, but whatever. It's all good. Okay, let's get them all out. The standard strategy here would be to isolate one lemming to do all the work while everybody else gets held back. But provided you get high enough on the build before you start bashing, you won't really have to concern yourself with anybody falling into the water and dying. Plus, you have bashers to spare. If you get somebody bashing left instead, it's not going to hurt you that many times. Unless, of course, you're unlucky enough that you lose 19 of them in that way. But yeah, there's blockades on the left. No way to fall into the water. But just in the event that there's anybody out there that actually wants to see that happen, we'll send this last poor little sucker down. So here's what happens if they take any kind of drink. Yeah, they just go under. Nothing that spectacular. Hope those of you sickos who actually wanted to see that are happy. Okay. Don't let your eyes deceive you. Yeah, this one looks pretty imposing, doesn't it? And you notice that big pit past the pillars? Yeah, that pit is precisely the reason we blockade any lemmings that are not absolutely necessary to do this job. We only need one. Unfortunately, we've got 8 minutes to do all this. You could take the stairs and use 3 bashers. Admittedly, that would be faster. But there's also something to be said for the economic way to do this. And that's using as few tools as possible. And you'll see why that becomes important on higher skill levels. I'll spare you guys a little bit here. Very good. Do not let him into the pit. If he goes down, your whole operation goes kablooey. On top of the nearly 2 minutes you would have burned by now getting him here. You could recover from that, but it would be that much more costly because of the fact that more than likely you're getting a group of them out instead of just one. As you may have noticed where that blocker was, yeah, they're pretty tightly clumped right now. You also want to be smart with your time. If you notice that a lemming is getting, or a worker lemming is getting close to finishing, blow up the gate. Just make sure you get back up to him. And make sure you do it at a point where your worker can still finish the job. So you know those forest traps where if you step within the little lasso you get snagged and yanked up it? That down there is pretty much one of those traps. Except instead of leave the lemming hanging there, it just crunches him in the roller up there. See? And after you've done that, these guys are more than halfway there. See how many of them are in one field? There's a lot of them. Which basically means that percentage is going to shoot way up. Now up next is probably my favorite song in the entire game. This beautiful rendition of London Bridge. Sometimes because of lack of boundaries, you'll need the double blocker. Not that there's any reason to divert your focus off of him, but if you've got a builder, do not take your entire focus off of him. Especially when, again, he's over a pit. Now listen carefully here. You hear those three little clicks? That means he's running out of steps. Either count or tune your ears very carefully to that, as remember he gets 12 steps. Now listen and count on the next one. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there you have it. Just something to listen out for. Be careful not to nuke your blockers too close together. Because if you do, some of them may wander off to the left and go bye-bye. By the way, take a look at that ass. Something sat here and broke the floor. It's really fucking beautiful. Alright, pretty good. Now the final new song. Easy when you know how, huh? And this time you got 4 drops. Oh. Yeah, here's the funny thing. I'm not entirely sure I do know how. So let's try that again. Because I definitely did not have that on right. Alright, I did that all wrong. Again. Okay, let's give this one more shot. I'm overthinking the timing is what it is. And I'm not hitting the right shortcut keys. Well, here's one way to do it. I unfortunately lost a man to this, but oh well. Now as I make this bomb, notice... Alright. Notice that nothing, not even the ceiling, got destroyed on that bomb. That's because if a bomber is on steel, it won't do anything because steel is rendered invincible here. That being said, you cannot bash, dig, or mine through it. You cannot bomb through it. And also, if you're falling onto steel, you can only fall half the distance without getting killed, as opposed to any other surface. Including stairs, which count as a normal. We still did well enough. We only needed 20 of them. Now the music will cycle back naturally. Let's block and blow. Could be taken as sexual innuendo. But anyway, this time is where the fancy puzzling comes in. Pay attention not to let anybody fall into the fire. So target your blockers above the clean areas. That's all you gotta do. So now the percentages stand to get a little bit wacky. Because we've got 70 lemmings, and that's not the cleanest way to divide percentage. We needed 71%, which would represent about 50 of them, if not exactly 50. Because 49 would be 70%, that's what I'm drawing from. What we got next? Take good care of my lemmings. This is another one of those that we're starting to get pretty familiar with the 2 blocker strategy. It's essentially the Stairway from Hell level, but the stairway's not going to be as long and the walk is a lot longer. A lot less time too, so keep your eyes on that. We had 8 minutes there, we got 5 minutes here. There's our man now. Try and visually math out 30 degrees and start building from the point that you come up with. Keep listening carefully for those last 3 so that you know when to build. Just enough. You could absolutely play it safe and make a 5th staircase, if you so chose. You'll find that some of the levels are going to be this kind of waiting game, unless you really want to play it ballsy in some way and let him work with everybody swarming around him. Okay. Lemcon 1, how creative. You want to be really careful about how you position these guys this time. Okay, we've managed to save them. Now it looks like we'll be able to pull the save on these guys too. There are situations when you're going to have to play it this way. You could do the double blocker method, but you got to be cautious about that because there's so little platform that you could blow up the base of the stairway and everybody goes down. Damn, if I'd gotten in one more turnaround. What we got here? You live in Lem. Is that how it goes? I thought it was learn. But in any event, consider your blocks carefully here too. Well, he's gonna live. I realized what I could have done was let everybody drop down here. But oh well. As they say, you live in Lem. The thing I was thinking about here was this booby trap. If you're careless enough to step on that, you are getting clamped. Very good. Oh, damn it, I forgot to raise the rate again. By the way, I guess I may as well plug this now. On what is normally Alpha Wit Thursday, my partner, Wit Sharper Than Fang, will actually be hosting for a while as she plays through Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. We've already started. I don't know whether or not she did or is going to be putting them up on YouTube, so best thing I can tell you is tune in Thursday nights at 8. That's Wit Sharper Than Fang, WIT-SHARPRTHNFANG. That's basically sharper without the E and then without the A. Everything else is spelled as you might expect in a standard English context. It looks like we're still getting out with more than 5 minutes on the clock. Oh yeah. I'm not really up to do a full play of any of the games that I'm about to broadcast, but just enough so that there's maybe some nostalgia, some interest to those who want to play this. I'm not going to spoil everything. And if you're looking for that, unlike with Creepers, in which I believe I have the only recorded run on YouTube, there's plenty of them out there for Lemmings. You can go check them out. Now, once per stage, there's something special that refers to another Psygnosis game, the guys that developed this one. This one refers to the forest level in Shadow of the Beast. And the music is also such a reference. I'm not going to bother using a blocker because nobody can die here. Oops. I am, however, going to keep the bash party going. Basically, you want to bash through all the trees. Till you make it down here. Up. Now you'd think physically the entire fucking forest would come down on these guys. Now the good thing about what we're about to do is all those free-floating lemmings out there that are walking back and forth all the way to the start. This left-facing stairway will trap them all here, which will save us whatever time we might otherwise have lost at the end. We just gotta reach it. Whoops. There we go. And then we want to try and angle out a right-facing stair that'll get us up there. But you see the trapping effect that we have here. Make sure everybody's turned. Okay, now that blocker can go. Everybody else will follow. Take a minute or so to get a drink or something. Coffee, tea, hot chocolate, something cold, something carbonated, something alcoholic. Whatever it is you drink while watching games. So this marks Alpha Stream number 247. I'm aiming to have number 250 on my 1-year anniversary, which is October 12th, coming up real soon. There will be a special feature of some sort or another on the weekend, October 12th being the Friday, so that's going to be a nice little celebration time for the show. But yeah, between tonight and the 12th, there will be 2 more streams leading up to 250 that night. So keep an eye open, keep your ears tuned to that email, and hopefully you'll catch it. Oh yeah, and smash that follow button, would you? I've lost that lemming feeling. And you heard the special track that went with that forest level. The normal procession of music continues after that. This time we won't forget. Yeah, there's your exits. And before anybody asks, they're both real. You can go either way. You want to be careful about that flame spurter up there. Because if you're not, your little lemmings are going to get toasted. Timing is absolutely crucial here. But if you do get tripped up, you have builders that you can use to turn around. Okay. Again, make sure your lemmings get clear before you blow off the back blocker. So you want your lem snake to be basically twice as long as it was represented when they were being blocked. All right, excellent. Konbanwa Lemmings San. Sounds Japanese. I have no idea what it means, though. All right, you want to watch yourself here, though. Try and aim your blocker to be the second man. Notice the right-facing arrows on this little platform. Well, there's a couple things I'm a little unsure about here. First of which is the fact that I've got the blocker up there instead of down on the steel. Which means if I blow him up, that could blow just enough of this little platform to give everybody an acid bath. Now what I'm doing here is giving everybody a safe drop. Oh, damn it. Obviously, I didn't think too carefully about that one. Now, what I don't know is whether I saved enough. Yep. See that little break? That was going to be an acid bath. Oh, is there another? Yep, over here. I got 80%. I don't remember how many I needed. I guess we'll find out in just a second. Okay, we did fine. Lemmings, lemmings everywhere. You definitely want to make a block here. Things are going to get fascinating pretty quick. Well, I kind of screwed up the central drop. So now the question is that too big a fall for these guys to handle? I know a way to find out. Oh, they made it. We're okay. You want to make sure they're facing right. If the hole you dig is to the left. Oh yeah, no problem. Nightmare on Lem Street. This one's interesting because there are exactly 2 lemmings. And you need both of them to get out of this one. Fortunately, you've got a lot of tools at your disposal. Use them. The only ones you're really going to need here, since you have enough of them, are builders. Oh no. Alright, he'll hit the wall and he'll spin. So we're going to be good there. Now I can tell you there are 4 difficulty levels in this game. Fun, tricky, taxing, and mayhem. From tricky onward, you're only going to be given strict limits of tools and you're going to have to play very tactically in order to make your way out. And a recurring theme on those skill levels is going to be levels that you've seen before, maybe on the fun level, but with considerably fewer tools. That's why sometimes you got to take the economic route, like I did in level 15. Mine a little bit underneath, and then bash the entire ground through. It may take longer, and it may run you closer to your deadline, but sometimes conservation of tools is just the only way you're going to get out. And one level in particular, number 13, we all fall down. That one appears once in every skill level. Here on Fun, as you saw, there were only 20 of them. On Taxing, there are... Or on Tricky, there are 40. Taxing, you've got 60. Mayhem, you've got 80. And on Mayhem, unless you are extremely frugal with that beam platform, you're not going to have enough to get all 80 of them out. And in order to complete that level, you're going to have to. Caution here. I can buy a whole shit ton of time if I do this. You can use the builder to turn around. Make sure your left hand is ready with those quick keys. Sometimes that's the only way you're going to make a save. That slow release rate too will spare you some serious heartache. Be sure to take out the bombers as you go. Target him. We'll pull the trigger when the time is right. Well, that's what happens when you take your eye off the ball. Well, we're doing pretty good. Each skill level in this game has 30 levels. If only they could fly. Yeah, if only. Alright, here's what we'll do. We'll make one of them climb, and then we'll make them float. Position this very carefully. I think I may have come in a little too far. I did. Fortunately, though, I think I'm still back far enough that I can work my way around it. In that, first of all, we've blocked that off from anybody falling. So now I can create something of a double turnaround scenario. where they'll come onto this staircase next. And as long as I seal the end of that off, if I go about here, yeah, that's closed off. If I go about there, I can build the way up. Now, as you can see, I have enough headroom. I could have gone back a little bit further. And if I went, I'd say, if I went from about here or so, I could probably have gone to that top step. All right, this third one should do it. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. Yep, good enough. So here's what we'll do. We'll dig them down to the final step. And so that we don't risk anybody going right and into the lava, we will bash left. Everybody should turn around because I'm pretty sure that step is just too high to negotiate. And if it's not, I'm fucked. Shit. You know what? Here, enjoy the show. Well, that didn't work. I was completely wrong about that. Alright, let's try that again. And this time, let's do it from the right position. About there. We're going to keep them right on that step. I hope I started back far enough. I'm pretty sure I did. And we know that even if we collide with this step at the bottom, it can still be climbed up on. Oh yeah, we're gonna get there. Alright, now while I have a second, let's do this. Cut the way out. And I'm going to have to give this guy a bumper build so that he turns around. Alright, I'd say that one was decidedly more successful. Laura Lemmings. Make somebody a climber. Oh, I didn't think that one through, did I? Well, it doesn't matter that much. They're going to come out on the ground level. Try and get in the exact moment he drops and turns around. Now you're going to need extra builders, most likely. In order to seal this up all the way to the wall. You could have all the other lemmings with you. There's no point at which they're going to die. But do you really want to have that much clutter wasting off your builders? That ought to do it. There. Now this should walk them out safely. Now the last level for this skill, lock up your lemmings. This one's tough because you got to try and quick time your bash in the right direction. And then you got to do it again. Although admittedly this one's not quite so fatal. Then on top of that, you got to dig down at the proper place. Otherwise, you risk having to pull out a blocker, and that takes away another lemming. Now, there's a minor glitch in this where if you fall from high enough to get killed but land right on top of the exit, they still go out safely. And I'm pretty damn sure 96% is plenty. Alright, so once you complete the last level of a skill, you'll just get promoted right to the next one. And the ending, let's just say, is not all that satisfying, but if you want the challenge of solving all the levels, you do you. Go right ahead and do it. I, however, am done with this edition. So let's move on to the sequel, which is actually more or less a Lemming level pack. This one is called Oh No, More Lemmings. And where we had 4 skill levels for 30 apiece, totaling 120 levels. This time we've got 20 levels in each of 5 skill levels. Tame, Crazy, Wild, Wicked, and Havoc. I'm not going to go very far into this one, but I am going to go through some of it because, hey, there's special music to go with this one. By the way, 20 levels for each of 5 levels, each of 5 skills. That's 100 levels. Down and out Lemmings. So again, they start you off pretty easy. By now you should have played the first game, so you should know how all the tools work. They'll just give you the whole slather of them and tell you to go to town. And again, they started simple. Dig twice, you're done. You'll notice the themes in this one artistically are a lot brighter and a lot more defined. The end of level texts are different too. Rent a Lemming. I've always been a big fan of this one, the Crystal Mine theme. This one's just as simple, really. Bash twice. And you don't have to worry that much about turnaround because that first sloped crystal is just going to turn everybody back. I'm only going to go 6 into this one because there's only 6 music tracks. Undercover Lemming. Go ahead and bring everybody with you. There's a natural block here. Before anybody says anything, I know it's too early for this cold winter shit. And the exit arches take on some new appearances too. Yeah, for those of you that are interested in puzzle type games, Lemmings is definitely the one for you. Downwardly mobile lemmings. I mean, you're not kidding. Really, the only hard part here would be that decision in your head of, can they survive that fall? I mean the one off the top platform. And as you can see, they can. So once you realize that, you're golden. You're okay to go. One dig, one bash, Bub's your uncle. Sometimes the entire game is just visual perception. Snuggle up to a lemming. Remember, can't do anything with steel. Otherwise, I would have made a bash on that third level down. We'll go one more here. Eensy weensy lemming. You know what? Screw the others. We made it regardless. So yeah, that's the level pack. Better graphics, stuff like that. Now I know it's a little too early for this shit, like I said earlier on. But they came out with 4 editions of Christmas Lemmings, only 3 of which I'm actually going to do. There's only 4 levels on this pack here, so I'm going to try and get through them. Each skill level is represented by exactly 1 map on this one. Each of the first 4 at least. So I'm going to see if I've got the acumen to get through them. Starting with this edition, they got a lot more advanced with their animations. You saw glimpses of that with Oh No More. With the one flashing exit arch, the word out on it. Yeah, this drop is definitely too far, so you're going to want to do this. That should be enough to break it. While he's doing that, I think now would be the time to release the hounds. Hope I've left enough time. All I gotta do now is get across this pit. Yeah, I think we're good. And one more ought to do it. Oh yeah, we're there. Okay, let's move on. Christmas bonus. This one supposedly represents tricky, but I have to question it with this big slathering of tools I was given. Alright. I hope I positioned that correctly. Yeah, that'll be okay. Did I? Oh, fucking A. Oh, damn it. Let's try that again. For some reason I switched to blocker when I should have switched to basher. My positioning here was fine, so I'm going to stick with it. Kind of like Origins and Lemmings. Just a long series of well-timed bashes and builds. Boom, 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 boom. On a level of this length, as soon as you get down to like the 2.5 minute mark, that's when you definitely want to release your hounds. I'm just going to do it now. Yeah. Made it there in time. Good. If you haven't noticed already, you can see in the bottom right, first of all, the overall map outline and the green dots, which represent the limbs. Obstacles, well, obstacles are kind of, provided they're part of the world. Traps are not represented, be they traditional traps or liquid below. None of that is represented on that outline. You got to take a look around to find them. That went much better. Time waits for no lemming. This time we got to save 45 out of the 50, and we got 40 minutes or 4 minutes to do it. Something to notice here as well is you don't have the slather of tools necessary to just do whatever you want here. You got to plan this out. Noticing first that you've only got one digger. The economic way to do it, basically take down 2 walls at once. Now target your digger, because you're going to want to get him off of that dig before he goes too far down. Plot your blocker carefully. Try and isolate a single lemming if you can. That way you've got him as your builder. Now you've only got 4 builders to use, so you had better hope that whatever you do here is enough to get the job done. And be especially careful here for 2 reasons. First, Soon enough, this fall is going to get too far for these guys. And if you're not careful about the timing of your second builder, you're going to have a lot of casualties on your hands. Placement's important too. Get the staircase wide enough. Take those couple extra steps off the top in order to ensure that you reach. That's also why you have the 10 floaters. Try and save as many of them as you can. I think I managed to preserve enough of them with that strategy. But we will find out in a minute 15 tops. Right, and bear in mind too, you've only got 4 minutes to do all this. Oh yeah, I did fine. Now off with the 2 blockers. And now, this corrosion. We got all steel here. Timing is your friend here, guys. Oh, they got dirty here. You notice that the chain is actually broken off from the brick here. That's what allowed that lemming to walk right past. And if you're not careful here, he will dig on that little teeny piece of wall, even if it's steel. Oh, and one other thing. You gotta save every lemming. That's what makes this one hard. The fact that being a climber is a state of being is a big help. Wait for the staircase to be done before you use anybody to dig. So use that staircase to turn around. If he gets to the end, you're sunk. Now, use that final digger carefully. Fortunately, they land on the base of the staircase if you do this right. And this right here is pretty much the ending you get from any of the Lemmings games. So, yeah, not really that satisfying. They released a 1992 version with those 4 levels and 4 more. They released a 1993 version with 32 new levels, 2 skill levels called Flurry and Blitz, 16 levels apiece. And they released a 1994 version with the 16 from 93, or with the 32 from 93, and 32 more. The skill levels for 94 were Frost and Hail. 93 was Flurry and Blitz. I have had enough of this for one go, and I think you guys have seen the point. So yeah, that's the Alpha stream. I'm AlphaStarDX. Have an Alpha night. Hope to see you guys again soon.